Hello, my lovely anatomists and physiologists. Welcome back. We left off last time looking at the 4 layers of the GI tract. So we had the innermost layer was mucosa, then we have submucosa, then we have muscularis externa, and then in the abdominopelvic cavity, so surrounding the stomach, small and large intestine, we have the serosa. And we said that the serosa layer was also the visceral peritoneum. And so that directly takes us to this conversation about what is the peritoneum. So when we talk about the peritoneum, we are looking at a piece of a very broad piece of serous membrane. So way back at chapter 1, we talked about body cavities. And we have, of course, thoracic body cavity and abdominopelvic cavity. And then we said those cavities are lined with connective tissue called serous membrane. And so that's what we're talking about here. Now that we're in this particular part of the abdominopelvic cavity, we just give it a special name. We did that also when we talked about the pleural membrane. And we did that also when we talked about the pericardial membrane and all of that. When we talk about the peritoneum, when we talk about this broad piece of serous membrane, remember you're always going to see 2 layers. So you're going to have the parietal layer or parietal peritoneum, which is going to line the body wall. Body wall, y'all remember, is talking about the muscle. Skin, right? So since we're in the abdominopelvic cavity, there's not a whole lot of bone in this particular area. So we're talking about the muscle that's encasing the abdominopelvic cavity, and the parietal peritoneum is lining the inside of that body wall. And then you have the visceral peritoneum, which is going to be, I liked this phrasing, envelops organs. Or this is what we called the serosa in the previous video. And what we'll see then is in between the parietal peritoneum and visceral peritoneum, we have a thin fluid layer. This should make sense. We've seen this throughout the body where we have places of possible friction. We're going to put a little bit of liquid there to help with lubrication. And just think about it. There's so much movement that's happening in the GI tract. The stomach is moving, the small intestine is moving, the large intestine is moving. And then your body wall's moving. You're encasing the whole abdominopelvic wall in muscle that's moving. And so these movements can be different from each other. And so putting this thin layer of fluid in between is going to be important and helping to eliminate a lot of friction that might otherwise occur. Okay, next we're going to talk a little bit about the neural control of the GI tract, and then blood supply. So stay tuned. As always, take care of yourselves and each other.